How's everybody doing? It has been a long time since I've held a microphone. Does this sound okay? Okay. Thank you all for coming out. You know, this is funny. This is like one of those experiences where it really does, it's one of those instances where everybody's naked in the audience. They tell you that as a performer. It's like, just picture the audience naked. In this case, I think everybody is truly naked. Because we've all got our shit, you know? We've all got, like, our stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. It's a very, very cool program, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So I'll tell you my name. My name's Andy Gates. I'm a self-loather. So what is that? I don't know. I don't think it's in the DSM-5. I guess it is now. I'm pretty sure I made it up. But I love that word, loathe. It's such a great bit of onomatopoeia, don't you think? Well, let's discuss my case, shall we? So I'm trying to do this as a little bit of a stand-up comedy act, but I don't really feel that good about it. I'm not a comedian. I don't think this is a funny story. I do use humor to sort of shield myself from my own despair, so there's that. No, I'm an actor, so no despair there at all. Just, it's an easy way to make a living if you want to make a few bucks. Get into acting. Super, super easy. You know what? Actually, a more suitable description for this is more like, you know, Spalding Gray? He did those great monologues. It's kind of one of those. And, you know, I went to the same college as Spalding Gray, so now it's settled. That's what I'm doing. Spalding Gray kind of monologue, blah, blah, blah. So let's get into this. The point is that I don't feel good about many of the things that make up me. In fact, I tend to loathe them, hence the word. So that's why I'm here. A few statistics about me. I have been sober for 13 years, but I hate, thank you. No small feat, I'll give you that, but I actually don't like the word sober, kind of hate it. I'm probably likely classified as a problem drinker, but I hate classifications, don't like them. And I do sometimes attend AA meetings, and I don't mind being lumped in as an alcoholic. So I know that was kind of a random leap in a different direction. I've got cliff notes for my fucking life here. What's the point of that? I know that's a kind of a random leap into a different direction. I didn't mean to, you know, be abrupt. That wasn't my intention. But there's a point to it. My past drinking was directly tied to two main things that are both tied together. I like to be tied up. It's kind of a fetish. I'm kidding. That's a stupid joke. That's not funny. The fuck? Okay. No, my drinking was directly tied to my severe anxiety and my self-loathing, as I mentioned. Now, without getting too far off track into my generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder and all that, I do want to give you a shout. I want to give a shout out to this hilarious vicious circle of self-loathing paired with a drunken attempt at behavior modification. So here goes. I was in my 20s. I was living in San Francisco. I was kind of facing that .com boom that you may have heard of in the late 90s. And it kind of illuminated to me that my attempts at an artist's lifestyle were not valued. Computers were valued. I didn't know anything about computers, still kind of don't. And I was lonely. I was socially awkward. I have a beautiful wife now, but at the time I could not get a date. And there's this lifelong narrative. I didn't feel good about myself. Didn't feel good. So this perfect storm developed of problem drinking. Now, fortunately for me, I don't really have the constitution for heavy liquor consumption, and I don't really have the self-control to say no. So what followed was a period of about 7 years where a regular pattern of banging my head against the wall was like my favorite pastime. And my hangovers only snowballed into more severe panic attacks, so my experiment at self-medication failed. Now, while certain drunken mingling did curb my social anxieties, I will not lie, the next day my nerves were completely shot, and that only extended my misery. So, again, in my head, I hear this, everything is my fault. Everything is my fault, and everything circles back to this narrative of me not being a worthy person, or a piece of shit, to put it more eloquently. Now, in a moment of weakness, I start to believe this. This becomes true, you know? And of course, being an actor, you exist in like this sea of rejection. So I know this is not my this is probably not the smartest career fit for this disorder that I've given myself or whatever, but I persist because I refuse to succumb to this bully that lives inside my brain. And I love acting. So, I don't know. There's a certain foolishness that kind of saturates the psychology of an actor. We do stupid things, but we move on. We move on. So sometimes you hear about people saying like, allow the thoughts to pass through your brain like a cloud or a harmless voyeur. It's not in my brain. It's not my experience. On more than one occasions, I have actually struck myself in the face with my own fists out of, frustration, raw punishment. Yeah. So this kind of behavior can be set off by such extreme things like opening a utensil drawer incorrectly or bumping into a wall or any number of too plentiful to count instances where the imperfections of daily life unfold in front of me and I can't handle it. And I turn inward with this vile hatred. So think about that. I actually punch myself in the face, like Edward Norton in Fight Club, except I wasn't getting paid for it. Nobody was there to see it, and no one really knew about it until now. There we go. So I'm aware that this behavior is wrong and self-destructive and kind of scary, right? Since college, I've made these feeble attempts at journaling my thoughts so as to better understand them. I've seen therapists. I've taken SSRIs. I've mentioned my self-medication attempt with alcohol. Now I self-medicate in, very healthy ways. And so I'm grateful for that, but it still hasn't really banished this bully from my brain. I know I probably need to meditate more and do yoga, all that shit. I'll do it. Look, this may sound like a grim sort of portrait, and pretty unfunny possibly, I don't know. But there's hope, actually. There's hope despite these persistent thoughts that sound to be butting up against suicide, and they're not. It's not. It is a fight, though. It definitely is a fight, sometimes a daily one. I live for myself, but I also look to the future with a lot of optimism. I think about my wife and our daughter, our dreams. So much to be thankful for, so much to be grateful for. Really, it's amazing, and it makes the whole experience like really, really heavy, in a good way. And like I said, I'm quick to use humor, so that makes a lot of difference to me. So I know I got to wrap this up. I'm going to summarize. I do hate myself. Sometimes. However, I do also love myself at the core, which means I love myself more than I hate myself. So I think I'm pretty lucky that way. I'm a lucky guy. I have two more points. I do know that I have the strength and the courage to deal with this. Life is not a cakewalk, and in my opinion, it's not supposed to be. The struggle is real, and that's kind of where we get our character from, in my opinion. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming.